lime actually just continues a loop cycle because it absorbs carbon, so it actually offsets the carbon that was used initially to extract it. And this process is called petrification, so it's like turning itself back into stone over time, which is also incredibly useful in its application within the building, because the building actually obviously is most desirable to be as stone-like as possible. So on both on an environmental aspect and in terms of the structural capacity, lime is an extremely amazing material to be using in conjunction with the hemp.
It has a brick,
Yes.
and then the limestone you use it instead of cement. Is that it?
Yes, exactly. So this is a sample. You can see the lime. I'll pass this around for you to hold. And the reason we use hemp instead of any other material, like bio-based materials, that hemp particularly has a very high level of silica. In Lisbon, and I'm making different prototypes with different mixtures to see the kind of ideal balances for most economical, the most sustainable ones, and then also mixing with other different biomass wastes. The reason that you would use hemp instead of ceramic is that the hempcrete is as like for a ceramic brick, as you asked. It's okay.
Too strong now.
It has a kind of so it has the capacity for insulation, which ceramic doesn't have. So ceramic is using just earth, which is amazing for so like cement or concrete has amazing thermal capacity, which essentially thermal capacity means that it can, through time, it can regulate. So if you've got regulating external temperatures, so if it's very cold inside, it will just maintain the inner temperature because it can hold heat. So that's what we mean by thermal mass, is the ability to hold heat, and that regulates the internal temperature as the external temperature is moving up and down, is variating. The amazing thing about hempcrete is that it's a combination of thermal mass and insulation, because if you have so much thermal mass, that means that there's no insulation, so you're not actually maintaining any internal heat inside. It's just so they work really well together as a combination of the two properties. A really long code, but it's a fire regulation in Europe, and it delays 2 hours. So if you were to have a building which was completely on fire for 2 hours, it would maintain its structure during the lifetime of the building. Obviously, it's this negative process, carbon negative process. The great thing about the hempcrete is that it can be used as an interlocking brick, so it can reduce the need for any mortar. Mortar is a cement that you would lay in between bricks, like normal brick masonry. Because of the silica absorbing it and becoming so united, it's very mold resistant. I had a sample brick that was left outside in the rain for like a year and a half, and I just went and picked it up the other day, and it absolutely hasn't been affected at all. I mean, when I found it, there were like leaves and little bugs like kind of just sitting on top of it, but just brushed it off, and it hadn't been affected in any way at all. Percent of the weight of concrete, so its density is like 330 kilograms per. Yeah, exactly. Supporting it really reduced costs and environmental costs, financial and environmental costs. Strength, it's not structural. I mean, it's called hempcrete, so it's like obviously alluding to the fact that it's replacing concrete, but it's slightly inaccurate in its name because it's not structural in the same way as concrete. It means that there's it can be used in a bracing situation, so cross bracing. But it's not. It would require columns.
There's some still lost.
Tania Teixeira,
Yeah.
inspired of our crew architecture studio.
But maybe you didn't finish yet, and then I can.
We could if anyone has any questions, like final questions about the hemp.
So without knowing what has been said before, it's difficult. But so I'm Tania. Olivia also worked with us for a couple of time. We are an office that is based in Montemoro Novo. There's Joana here and Caterina and Miguel that are somewhere around. Yeah, they're doing a lot of research in sustainability and developing especially more earth-based techniques, but also like researching other materials. We are very interested in fibers because actually it's the most like the fast renewable material that you have, and I'm not speaking about wood, of course, because it takes ages to grow. So like hemp and straw, there's a lot of fibers that can be used in construction, and by this moment they are underestimated. And the issue, it's like we are not yet, not even there.
We have to sensibilize people first.
Because for housing, for example, you don't. It's not required the certification if you are not intending to do a BREEAM certification or a LEED certification or any type of certification. How can we produce a chain of value in these materials in Portugal? Because we have a lot of production of straw. We had a history of production of hemp. So we were producing a lot of ropes, a lot of fibers for textile, and in the last century everything was lost. So yeah, one thing that's, by the way, it was not lost. It's our chain of production of cork, and this has also like an historical factor behind, because like cork trees are protected by the government and by like very different types of governments, because it was in 1200s that the government that was ruling by that time decided that we had to protect cork trees from being cut, and incentivated the plantation. The greatest cork producers in the world. To pass to you so that you can see what is like a raw material when it's taken from the tree. It's collected every 9 years, so the numbers that you see on the trees is marking the year that it was collected. It's the final digit of the year, so that you know which trees to harvest when it arrives when the 9 years pass. You have to be really careful on extracting the cork, so there's specific tools and specific people that are very well paid to do this job. It's like you can't take the entire cork of the tree. You have to control the amount, so it goes around 1/3 to like half. Like it can't go over it, because if not the tree will die. When you extract it with the excess, you have to be very careful not to cut the skin of the tree, so you just have to cut the cork. If you touch the skin, it will create a wound that is very difficult to cure, and around that part no cork will grow like healthy. So then if you pay very attention when you will have this on your hands, you have several lines here that marks the years, like similar to the rings of a tree. You have here like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and you see that the thickness is varying. It depends if the year was really dry or if the tree is also young, because for example, comparing with this one ring is this thickness. So in here it's this one. So you can see, yeah, like the first good harvest of a cork tree is at 30 years old. So you have like, it's let's say that it's when you plant a cork tree, it's for the next generation. So 300, 400 years old. So it's an investment. It's time, and you don't have an unexpected fire out of season, then it should be protected.
Granulated, black granulated cork.
Black granulated cork, but compacted. So compacted black granulated cork.
Maybe.
Fancy name. It's like there's no need of adding any product for to achieve this product. So you just break the cork. You put it inside of like some like box that goes to a high compression and temperature, and through this temperature, the fan oils that are on the natural resins of the cork just connect all the granulates, the resins and the fan oils. So
And it smells like burn.
it's very good. I will pass you this also.
And
You
also,
can
can
smell.
you explain why you chose cork over hempcrete?
We didn't choose cork over hempcrete because there's other places in the factory that will have hempcrete or light straw. Like it was a question of space consumption and of availability in the market. So if you have to import the hemp, it's not interesting anymore when you have local materials that you can use. Also because sustainability is a lot connected also with the local chains of materials. So this is the main reason. Do you have anything
So
else?
space in comparison to the
Yes.
cork,
Yeah.
and then the fact that at the moment
Yes,
Yeah,
we are
exactly.
using cork on the living buildings, on
Yeah,
these
that is
ones,
the
because
smallest.
we are like doing everything by almost centimeter.
Yeah.
And the other, the workshop area and creative space,
We'll
so
have-
we will do, or hemp or straw, we will do some dry.
Probably for now, if we will not have hemp in the local chain, we will prefer to use straw because it's what you have available everywhere. So when you use straw, you have also to choose a specific straw, like with no seeds. If we have rice straw, it's perfect. If we don't have it, it can be like even oats or rye, like even the wheat one is good. The important is this, that it is without seeds. And then if we use the straw, we will use it as a light clay mixture, and it will be as in situ. It will be used as an in situ hempcrete is done. So with the formwork, you compress it, and you grow, and you have some anchors to the existing wall. So, but this consumes, like, to be effective, while with 6 centimeters of cork you respect already the thermic rules, the national thermic rules, that, for example, for services like this is according to the previous law, because the new law entered in July, so we are not yet like 100% sure, but until the previous one, it was 0.5 of U value for housing and 0.7 for services. So, like with the 6 centimeters of cork, you can be inside of these values. When you work with hempcrete or with to get this, you have to have like 30 centimeters.
Yeah.
So,
30 centimeters is
yeah, exactly. So this is the main. So with
Just insulation.
hempcrete,
Okay.
also with hempcrete, you are not speaking about a load-bearing material. Pay attention to this. Like you can't put a roof on top of a hempcrete wall.
Okay, this is
Like-
important. Okay.
Another thing that you have to have in mind is normally load-bearing materials are not very insulated, like insulating materials.
Okay.
Like so, it's a indirect proportion. Like the most insulating, the less load-bearing.
Okay, so you still need a steel frame or a concrete frame or a wood frame, and then you.
Exactly.
Okay, got it. Yeah.
For hempcrete, for example, or for a light clay, the best would be a wood frame because it works like the way the humidity is controlled by the lime that is inside of the hempcrete or the clay that is inside of a light straw. It's very compatible with the wood, like it keeps the wood dry. It's more avid of getting this humidity, so the lime or the clay will get the humidity first and control the level of humidity on the wood. So it's normally like considered that clay and lime are preservatives of the wood. So opposing to having a metal structure inside of a lime composed material that is like dramatic, like it corrodes the
But you
steel.
can use a metal structure.
You can. You have to.
a coating.
Yeah, exactly.
It doesn't. If you're going to use hemp, you're like, why would you use a steel?
Well, why? Like, I think diversity is also.
It's important to be able to use.
Yeah,
it. It's better
because
to use
if
hempcrete
you have if you have like a steel factory close to your building, maybe it's
if it's an existing structure.
yeah,
it's
exactly. If it's an existing structure, like there's a lot of reasons to use this, but you have to really pay attention to how you combine these two materials.
Yeah, so you need to coat the steel.
Or you have a stainless steel structure, because like you have a lot of money and you want to pay everything in the
Rebar
structure.
is typically not stainless steel, isn't it?
No, rebars can be a lot of different rebars. You can have a normal rebar that doesn't have any protection. You can have a galvanized rebar that has already a protection that done in the factory, which is partially effective. You can have like a on-site protection, but it's even less effective than what you do in the factory. So there's a lot of ways to protect materials. So. Our objective for today is at least to glue some boards on the wall and do some first coating. And then let's see if we are able to do still a finishing coating. Because if we are working very well in the morning, maybe in the afternoon we can do this like finishing coating, and then we let the dreamers to paint everything with the colors that they want. With lime-based materials or silicate-based materials. Like it has always to be breathable. Yeah, I will explain you about the way we will do this on the sides. We will use, like we will work with lime, so lime is a little bit corrosive even if it's hydrated already. So like if you have any wounds and you are in contact with lime, like it can harm your hands. So if you have any wounds, pay really attention and keep always your hands dry. On the end of the day, we will pass also, like on the end of the work, we will wash our hands with some acid material, like citric acid. You can use like some lemon juice or vinegar, so that's like all the remains of the lime that are on your fingers get washed. We will like work with closed shoes, I can see. So the ones that are barefoot or almost, like we'll try to be really especially paying attention to your feet, so no tool will harm you. And we will work in a bigger group in a not very big space, so we will have to pay a lot of attention to the others. So when you are carrying bigger materials, or like we will have to use some metal frames, so like pay really attention to your partners and control the safety around you. To the wall and then anchor it to the wall with like mechanic anchors, so that we assure that the boards will never fall out. These special anchors are also made with like a PVC material, so that it keeps the like it avoids the thermal bridges, because if you would have a metal connection, you would create a thermal bridge. Even if it's small, probably inside you would see some dots of of humidity. Then, after anchoring this to the wall, we will have to close the anchors with a bit of the material that we are using to glue, and we will do a first coating with this material and place a net that is a fiberglass net. It could be also a hemp net, for example, or a linen net. There's a lot of materials that can substitute this fiberglass, but actually it's the most commonly available in the market. We still tried to get some jute. Yeah, but like what we find here is very closed square, so like a very closed grid, and this is not good because you need a perfect connection between the material that is on the bottom and the one you are putting on the surface. So you can see here this mesh. After we place the mesh, and we have to place it really carefully. It's not like, because if not it will damage the perfection of the layer. And then we will place a second layer of this material on top.
I'm sorry, what is this
When
material?
it's dry,
Sorry, what is the material? Is it
it's
lime?
lime. It's all lime-based material.
Lime with marble?
No, lime with, this has still pieces of cork, so it's also an insulating.
So it has, the lime has cork?
Yeah, you will see
Granules.
when
You will see it.
I will test it to you right now. So
And
you can 60 centimeters you can reach. So now something is changing in the new law regarding the thermal, but I don't know yet like precisely everything.
You
that
mentioned
changed.
you use other standardization or norms from other countries. Which country in particular is kind of most advanced?
It depends on the technique because, for example, like Germany has a lot of standards for seismic behavior. New Zealand has a lot of good standards. Even France is developing, and even the European Commission is trying to develop European standards for some of these materials. When you
Turn off.
turn off the fire, like it's the same. Like you turn off the lime adding water, and it will create an exothermic reaction. It like you have to be really careful because it's burning, like it's doing like these bubbles and boiling, let's say. And when it's finished, you have a slack lime. You have a hydrated lime, and with this with this lime, you can mix with aggregates and then use it for plastering, or even use it just like this to paint. And when this hydrated lime, that is lime hydroxide, it will become, when it combines again with the CO2 that it lost during the burning process. So, like sometimes people say, oh, lime is very sustainable because it traps CO2. No, it traps CO2 that it lost during the process of burning. So it's not because of that it's sustainable, because the cycle is closed. And then when this reaction finished, the lime is again hard and it becomes the carbonate stone again. So like in hypothetical thought, if you would scratch the lime from your wall and you would burn it again, you would have again the lime to build with. So like it's another closed cycle. With the natural hydraulic lime, because like aerian lime and hydraulic lime are two different types of lime, and with the natural hydraulic lime the process is still more complex because the stone is less pure, so it has until 30% of impurities that are like clays and other minerals that makes this pozzolanic reaction and makes the lime having this ability of curing without the contact with air. So it has an hydraulic cure. Also with the aerian cure, like with the carbonation, but also with this hydraulic cure. So overlap this with the board without having to do like a kind of a compensation, or like how we will deal with that, we are not sure yet, because this wall doesn't have that
Oh
problem.
yes, the van arrived.
That's and another group will help unload the van.
Tânia, podes-me dizer este workshop é sobre o quê?
Este workshop é sobre a colocação, ou seja, no fundo estamos a fazer uma ação de aprendizagem de aplicação do capote de cortiça numa ótica de, no fundo, dar autonomia às pessoas aqui da Dream Factory para continuarem depois a aplicação do capote nos próximos tempos. Here there's different sizes. There are from the 6, 7, 8, 9. So there's S. Yeah, so it's in it.
Agora existe algum tipo também?
Yeah, now we are starting the quarter and everything. Excellent.
Releases the fan oils that are the natural glues that are inside of the cork, and through this process it becomes.
You want to do like a really
Yeah. No. We have to use like the like this one on vertical. It's you see here it's not enough marble. Yeah. We need to create the space. If not, we are using too much material. We are using too much material, and we are not getting the result that we need.
E a direção?
A direção é indiferente. O que é importante é que não estejamos a gastar material que é desnecessário. The 1 centimeter gap that we need is there. And that we don't waste material. Cork in the middle, so it's also an insulating. So we will infill when we do the finishing, and then it will be all inside.
Foi este aqui o primeiro, certo? Ele fica ali.
Well, it's work.
Okay. Good. Great.
I am from students, and they work for the food, so the client is like a three-way kind of exchange. Okay, cool. Yeah, but it's because I find it difficult. So you've been doing these kind of events.
We also had the
We have this towards the end, like the main part of the structure was built in like including the harbor. Yeah, one exactly. Okay.
No, we can find.
Prova-me isso mais, caralho.
Um abacate já um bocadinho passado. No.
I discovered that we have a professional installer of this type of things here.
Elas nunca percebem o que fazem.